First, let me thank Al Farm, because for a long period of time, 1985, but even before that, now Al Farm was one of those that was part of the civil rights movement, moving in the right direction, talking about and understanding that we have to take care of those who are least fortunate than others, making sure that we right the wrongs of this society that we call the United States of America. And he's continued in that direction. He's a great patriot who loves this country and understands what has made us great and what can make us greater. And that's why I'm happy to call him my friend and listen to what he has said and following in some of the things that the principles that he's put out, because if you examine them, they pass the test of time. And I think that's what's key and that's what's important. If you have a position, and will that position pass the scrutiny of time? Because sometimes you can take a short-term political position that might be good at that particular time politically. But when you look over it over a period of time, you'll see that that position was the wrong position. And I think that what we're trying to do here is to stake out a position that will pass the test of time. It may not be the most popular issue right now, but it is indeed the right issue for us to be discussing and for us to begin to lay the foundation of, because it is what is important for our tomorrow. And one of the key things that the great Ed Gresser has been working on, and we've been talking about, is what has made America America? What has made America America? But one of the things that has made America America is that we were always in the lead technologically. We always was bringing in great minds to help teach and encouraging others to come in with our immigration policies. We were always trying to make sure, Al mentioned FDR, and we all talk about it. He had this good neighbor policy and open markets, which changed us when we were in a time of depression and moved us out of it. And right now, over a year ago, many of you in this room were here when we kicked this thing off, and we were talking about, at that particular time, some of the anxieties that we were having in regards to the current economy in the United States of America. We were thinking about at that time and wanted to make sure that we engaged your mind so that we could come up with a paper, with a project, taking into consideration the fact that this anxiety exists. And what we find today that the anxiety exists not just with American businesses, but it exists with the American workers, it exists with the American labor unions, it exists in society as a whole, and we've got to figure out how we grasp it. And it's easy. And what we did at that time, we talked about not getting involved in the middle of a presidential primary season, because we know how controversial, when you talk about globalism or when you talk about trade, that it is, as it proved to be, a very controversial issue. But we wanted to make sure that we were talking about it in a context where we had people who could just sit down and think on a rational basis so that we can come up with a solution and some answers to deal with some very real problems that we have. I was reading an article, and in that article, we were talking about where we should be tomorrow, and there was one, Norm Augustin, who said, just talk about some of the problems, that there's a new research university scheduled to launch soon with a one-day endowment of $10 billion, which is equal to what it took MIT 142 years to accumulate. Next year, over 200,000 students will study abroad, mostly in the fields of science and engineering, often under government-provided scholarships. Government investment in non-defense R&D is set to increase by 25% over the next few years. A multi-year initiative is underway to make the country a global nanotechnology hub. The world's most powerful particle accelerator will begin operation this year, and a high-level commission will conduct a follow-up to the Gathering Storm study with the objective of creating more jobs at home. That all sounds good. The only problem is that these actions were taken not by the United States. They were taken by Saudi Arabia, China, the UK, India, Switzerland, and Australia, respectively. We are losing our competitive edge. And if we don't begin to understand quickly that even when you're talking about trade, that we've got to focus more on science, technology, and the services than we do just farming, because when you look at our trade deficits, writing it, only 12% of our trading is with farms or farming products. There's more so the jobs that are being created, 80% are in the services. We've got to understand where our future lies.